welcome to another episode of Varsity Weekly. I'm your host, Maya Denise Gaskin. Today, we have a lot in store for our viewers, from baseball post-game interviews to highlights of the Sun Devils men's basketball team. First up, let's hear from Sebastian with the Saguaro Cats.
Hi guys, welcome back. I'm here with Cade Sherman, the Varsity Player of the Year. Cade, take away this game so far. You had a dominant game. I believe you had 8 strikeouts throughout the whole game. What was the thought process throughout the whole thing?
Just a big rivalry game. I have a couple friends on that team. I just wanted to go stick it to them. Great defense behind me, so that was huge. Couple times there.
What do you think went right in this game? You delivered some perfect balls, but you think there were some places where you could have done better?
Yeah, definitely. A couple ones I was not sure on them. I should have thrown this pitch there, but you live and you learn. Great defense behind me. They were there when I missed, so.
Kind of curious for everyone who was tuning in at the very end. Your pitcher coach came in. What were you guys talking about? It looked like they wanted to sub you out, or you just what was going on there?
Yeah, so I was at 103 pitches, and the pitch count is 105. But you can finish the batter, and I told him I just want to go get this last batter. So give me one more batter.
How are you going to use this momentum, to go on to the next game? How is this going to help you become even a better player?
Complete game, that's great. I don't know the last time I had a complete game, so it's a lot of momentum going on to the next time I pitch.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Congratulations once again. Well, good luck on the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
In 2019, the JV Sports Show podcast began with the idea of spotlighting young people in our community. In time, that podcast evolved into radio, television, and live stream, and through that evolution, new ideas have enhanced delivery, giving a stage to students both in front of and behind the microphone in Arizona and beyond. Thank you for supporting the Varsity Sports Show, now the Varsity Media Foundation, a 501c3 educational organization.
I'm here with Joe Mickey. Coach, you guys won 3-0. On paper, it looks like, it was a close game, but it's really been a dominant performance from your pitcher, Sherman. What can you take away from this game?
No, Cade pitched really well. Honestly, he's been throwing the ball great for us all year, and our defense behind him allowed him to go for a complete game. And that's one of those things where against a good team, you have good pitchers step up, and he did just that. And we've leaned on him pretty hard at the right times, but he's answered the call. And always a good competitive Scottsdale rivalry. It's nice to come out on the good end of a tight baseball game.
Undefeated, still on region play this season. Give us some takeaways. What do you think went bad? What could have been better in this game?
Just a couple other opportunities we had to score a few more runs there, but we scratched and clawed. And, when we find ways to get on base and guys did their job, Cam Schmidt put a ball in play, Cam and Eddie balls in play. We talked about just scrapping at bats together and found a way to scratch a couple runs. And when you have a guy leading on the hill like that, that's all you're hoping for because you're going to have a good chance to come out on the good end of that game.
How are you going to use this momentum to go on to the next game and for the rest of the season?
Yeah, no, we know we have another big one against Seton, another rivalry type game, and you just understand what it takes to win these types of games. And so we just know we look to go be 1-0 in that one with a couple good at-bats, good defense, and hopefully playing our best baseball.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Coach. This is Joe Mickey from Sorrel, head coach baseball. Back to you guys.
All right. Hey, thank you very much.
Of course.
Thanks, Sebastian. Now, let's hear from Hannah Pettiferi with an exclusive interview with a member of the ASU Spirit Squad.
Hello, everyone. This is Catherine. Catherine, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Catherine. I am a senior here at ASU, studying speech and hearing sciences and minoring in Spanish. I'm originally from Columbia, Missouri, and here at ASU, I am on the Spirit Squad dance team. This is my 4th and final year on the team.
Awesome. So growing up, you always danced. Did you know at that young age that you wanted to keep dancing in college?
Yeah, I think in high school, when I started looking at schools, I knew that I wanted to keep dancing. Both of my older sisters actually danced for the University of Missouri. And so watching them get to do that and seeing all the memories and friendships they made on their college team, I knew that that was something that I wanted to do as well. And when I started going on college visits, I always took into consideration their spirit program and the reputation of the school's dance team because I knew I wanted to keep going in college.
And what's the difference between the dance team and then the cheerleading team, if there is a big one?
Yeah, so typically the cheer team includes boys and girls, And a lot of times the guys will lift the girls and do stunts, and the girls will do a lot of flips and like back handsprings, whereas the dance team just focuses more on dancing. And typically the dance team's style is a little different, just because the girls on the team did grow up dancing at dance studios in comparison to being like on a cheer team.
Mhm.
And here at ASU, we're all considered Spirit Squad. And then within that is cheer and dance. So at ASU, we're more like closely connected than at most schools since we
Mhm.
are all Spirit Squad. Um, but at some schools, there's a bigger distinction. But here at ASU, we're pretty close with the cheer team.
Mhm. So you guys like at games are all still at the same game?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, that makes sense. And you guys dance for basketball and football. What other sports do you
Yes.
dance for?
We also do volleyball and hockey. For football, everyone on the team goes to every football game. For basketball, since they are more frequent throughout basketball season, we split up. So we have two groups from the dance team and then one cheer group, since the dance team is bigger. So for basketball, I do 1/3 of the women's games and 1/3 of the men's games. And then we also cheer at volleyball, which we take a small group to that too. So typically you only cheer at about 1 to 2 volleyball games a year. And then recently with ASU's new hockey arena, we started cheering at hockey games. And that's a group of about 8 of us per game. So I only did about 3 hockey games. So the
Oh,
main thing is football and basketball.
and I'm assuming football is probably your favorite?
Yes, for sure. Just the energy in the arena is so fun. And it's definitely like the biggest like stage, I guess you could say. So
Mhm.
football is probably my favorite.
And then you guys took home national title last year. What was going through your mind when they called you guys up to win that?
It just made everything worth it because, leading up to it, practice was like constant all the time, almost every day, which at sometimes was hard, but we knew with like our end goal in mind that it was all going to be worth it. And so winning that title definitely made everything come full circle and made all the long hours so worth it.
Mhm.
And getting to celebrate all our hard work was just
And
really awesome. So,
that's coming up pretty soon, right?
yes, yeah, the team leaves to compete in about 2 weeks. So really soon.
Yeah. And you guys have what is it called? Like a
It's like the dance team send off, we call it.
Mhm.
That is on April 7th at the basketball arena. So they'll get to showcase their pom, jazz, and game day routine for anyone to come and watch before they head to Florida.
Nice. And then one more question. If you could give any advice to someone who's wanting to dance or cheer at ASU, what would you tell them?
I would say, like going into auditions, probably just be super confident in your own skill set and don't compare yourself to other people.
Mhm.
Especially on our team, we have like skills that across the board everyone can do and standards that everyone is expected to meet, but there's different things about each dancer on the team that makes them unique. So just focus on your strengths during tryouts and don't let like what you see other girls doing get into your head because everyone has something special to offer the team. And I think if you're preparing to continue dancing or cheering in college, just keep working hard and know that it's all worth it in the end.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Catherine. And I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck at nationals.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hannah. Now, let's hear from Eric Castellan with the Sun Devil Report.
On this edition of the Sun Devil Report, it's all about the men's basketball team and their dramatic run to the NCAA tournament. We all know how it all started, with ASU's bubble hopes being reignited with a full-court desperation heave from Desmond Cambridge Jr. to stun bitter rival Arizona, 89-88 on their home court. After the regular season ended, the Devils sat at 22-10 overall and were a 6th seed in the Pac-12 tournament. They took down Oregon State in the opener 63-57, but everyone knew that to have any shot at the big dance, ASU would need a big win against USC to boost their odds of sneaking in. Head coach Bobby Hurley talked before that game about everything that was going to be at stake that night.
Yeah, we talked about coming here to try and win a championship, and everyone's saying that and stuff, but that's been our goal. We've won one already, a holiday tournament earlier this year in New York, and we got a taste of what that feels like, so that's our mission really, and we got to deal with a team that is very good, that has two of the best players in the conference on their team, and other guys that really defend hard and crash the backboard, and they have good size. So, it's a legit test like what you're going to face if you want to play in the NCAA tournament. So, we're going to do the best we can tomorrow night.
The stakes were indeed high, and the Sun Devils came prepared. At the time, it was their best shooting performance from deep, as they shot 44% from three-point range. The one thing that ASU does well as a team is defense, and when they shoot well, this game was the perfect example of the potential they can have. Desmond Cambridge added to his impressive second-half stretch, totaling 27 points in this one, including 6 crucial three-pointers that helped pave the path to a 77-72 victory. The Trojans made a late run in the final minutes, but the ASU defense held strong in clutch time, like it usually does when they have the lead. After the game, Cambridge talked about his performance and what led him to have such a great game overall.
Confidence. Literally, last night I was talking to Alonzo Gaffney just about the game yesterday, and he told me one thing that I need to hear, and that was just be confident in myself. I kept second guessing a lot of my shots, a lot of my decisions, and when your teammates believe in you, like sometimes that's all you need. And I know I have confidence in myself, and yeah, when your teammates also have that confidence in you, you feel like nothing can stop you. So.
Despite a loss in round 3 of the rivalry against Arizona, the Sun Devils felt good about their late season performance and hoped it was enough for a tourney bid, and that it was, as ASU was one of the last 4 in, which meant a trip to Dayton, Ohio to play in one of the first 4 games. They drew Nevada in a matchup that would have the winner advance as the 11th seed in the West region. ASU's previous best game was short-lived, as this play-in game showed why the Devils were a tournament team and that they can give anyone a tough time. They beat down on the Wolfpack 98-73 to advance to the first round against TCU, and the Devils shot an unconscious 64% from the field, including 53% from deep. They put up the most points in First Four history, and after the game, Coach Hurley talked about how it all came together in this game and why the team played as well as they did.
I mean, it's your goal as a coach to get your team ready for big moments and ready for big games. And I think Michelle mentioned about how many games we had to play last week, and we've been on the road every week for almost a month now. And so you're concerned about just making sure they have the appropriate energy. And I thought we handled them well coming into this to make sure that we were prepared and the guys got their reps, but with them having a full tank of gas. And they had it early. Their activity on defense was outstanding. And then offensively, they were moving the ball and sharing the ball and executing. And for us to finish with 21 assists and 7 turnovers is what you hope for as a coach, that your team is playing that unselfishly.
Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, as TCU spoiled the Devils' chance at an NCAA tournament run with a dramatic come-from-behind 72-70 win in the final seconds. Despite shooting well at 48% overall and from deep, the Devils cannot overcome the turnovers that plagued them all season long, leading to their demise in the final minutes and eventually at the very last second. After the game, Hurley acknowledged what a wild ride this season was and how hard this program played all year.
Just heartbroken for these guys giving me everything they had all year. Just really advanced Arizona State basketball and played winning basketball all year. Played unselfishly, played resilient, battled and fought, and it would take the last shot to put us away. So I'm just extremely proud and have all the respect in the world for our effort tonight.
It truly was one epic ride for ASU basketball, and with Bobby Hurley coming back at least for the next 2 years, it'll be interesting to see just how well this team will do next year and if some of the same players are going to return as well. Thank you for listening to this special edition of the Sun Devil Report. I'm Eric Castellan.
Thanks, Eric. Next up, let's talk to Alexis Davis.
NIL, we all want the money, but we don't really know how to get it, and the lines are super blurred, and it's pretty much a gray area. Now, NIL is starting as early as high school, so we decided to sit down with USA Today reporter Winston Wilcox so he can give us a little bit more insight on where the dollars are at. So my first question, when it comes to NIL, do you think athletes are more concerned about the best fit, or do you think they are more concerned about the NIL opportunities?
I'd have to think about that one a little bit because I know NIL just got here to Tennessee from a high school standpoint. So I haven't, dove too much into kind of how high school players feel about it. From that standpoint, but I think I think it more is, I think for high schoolers specifically, just at the high school level, I think what it'll do is it'll kind of give them maybe a little bit more of an opportunity to kind of understand um, kind of how to handle the recruiting, another aspect of recruiting, because, I know I talked to a kid and he was saying that, one of the big things he was looking at, along with, how the school was a best fit for him, and how, they treated him more than just kind of as an athlete, but also what opportunities he can maximize on NIL wise. So I think it's kind of giving high school athletes a different perspective and kind of giving them a little bit different of a avenue to kind of go down in terms of how they navigate their recruiting. But I don't know too much about how it kind of affects, their decision making, and kind of how much, it applies to where they go to school and how they decide on which school to go to from an NIL standpoint.
So since, I mean, a lot of times they don't get the, NIL interest until they're actually at the college. Of course, like, you're not really a senior in high school, and brands don't really bet on you until you're actually, in college. So do you think that, let's say, there's two different schools and they're looking at the current athletes that are there. They're looking at the current athletes that are there and seeing that they have these different NIL deals, and they are looking at a school that's recruiting them just as hard, but a lot of the athletes I guess you could say school B don't have as many NIL opportunities. Do you think that would kind of change their decision at all? Or do you think that, they are still more so focused on, okay, what team do I fit in best with?
I think it depends on maybe a couple of things. Obviously, what school it is, the sport that they're competing in, and kind of what's around the school. So, if school A is in a typical college town, not much going on, but it's close to a city, a bigger city, that has opportunities to get on with different brands and get on with different marketing avenues, and find ways to benefit through NIL from that standpoint. I think that can affect, their decision on whether they go, and it not just be directly correlated to, okay, this is the best school for me, but I may not be able to capitalize on NIL, again, depending on the sport. But I think that, kind of definitely plays a role of not just what the school is, but where it's at. Because while you may not be able to benefit, for example, Ohio State, is probably going to do a really good job at, helping their players with NIL, where they may not have to go, and be close to another major city. And, Columbus is the capital of Ohio, so that kind of helps. But going to a smaller school, I mean, if you're closer to a bigger city, I mean, that can benefit you just as much, regardless of what opportunities may happen right there directly in the actual city that your school's in.
So my last question for you, how NIL is still kind of this developing thing. There really isn't a blueprint, that they have attached to it. It's kind of like, okay, we're seeing more of a trial and error. This works. This isn't really working. These guidelines are still unclear, et cetera. So do you think, in your opinion, what would you say is like one thing that might make the NIL process a little bit smoother, or something that could maybe help the guidelines be a little bit more readable by the common person or the common high school sophomore that's trying to learn more about it? Like, what do you think that missing piece is to kind of help people understand, or from the NCAA perspective, what they could do to kind of make those guidelines of what's going on a little bit more clear?
I mean, honestly, I think the biggest thing is to just, from a general standpoint, give a lot more clarity on kind of how players can navigate NIL. I know that it's very new. And I even know here at the high school level, of high school players being able to benefit from NIL. It was like, okay, well, we're going to open up the opportunity for high school players to benefit, but it was kind of, free range, like whatever happens, happens. And now they've kind of reeled that back in and started to kind of figure out, okay, what are some parameters we can put in place to kind of navigate, to allow players to kind of navigate and know what they're getting into, and not cross that line of being an NIL benefactor versus an infraction, of being in the wrong. So I think, just from a general standpoint, I just think more clarity so that, there's not a lot of blurred lines of trying to figure out, what am I doing? What aren't I doing? What can I do? What can't I do? I think just being able to kind of establish clear guidelines is probably the biggest step. Really, even college athletics can do too, because, I think there's still a lot of uncertainty of what, how involved, like booster programs and stuff like that can be in NIL stuff. I mean, again, I'm not too, versed on it yet. But, I think probably just from a general standpoint, having just kind of clear cut guidelines and kind of having more clarity would kind of help, clear things up from both the organization standpoint as well as the athlete standpoint.
Unfortunately, that's the end of today's episode. Be sure to tune in to the Varsity Sports Show on KDUS 1060. I'm Maya Denise Gaskin, and until next time, Arizona, go Varsity.